This is it. It's the final week in the Premier League, week 38, and the race for top 5 and Champions League places is still to be determined. Welcome to the predictions for week 38. Afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to the Footy Network, where we will be going through all the fixtures coming up this Sunday in a make or break weekend for teams. Will Forest qualify for Champions League? Will it be Man City, Villa, Newcastle, Arsenal, or Chelsea? Everything is set to be decided this weekend. With everything else all done in the Premier League, all the focus turns to these games. So if you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe to the Footy Network if you are new here. And if you want to grab me a coffee, you can scan this QR code or click on the link that's pinned in the comments. All right, let's jump into this huge weekend and kick it off with the first game. The Vitality Stadium down on the south coast is our first game, as Bournemouth will take on Leicester in an absolute dead rubber game, so we won't spend too much time on this one. Bournemouth just crapped the bed and literally have blown any chance of European football by losing to Manchester City. They are now sitting in the bottom half of the table after their couple of fans had dreams of European football. That's long and gone. In terms of Leicester, they're done in the Premier League. Vardy got his 200th goal. Apparently you get a trophy for that these days, but they will be saying hi to the likes of Derby next season. This game is a complete dead rubber. I'm going to go Bournemouth 1, Leicester City 1. Who cares though? Who really cares? Craven Cottage will see the first key game of this weekend as Fulham take on Manchester City. And Manchester City now need 1 point to guarantee themselves Premier League, European Champions League football next season. But to be honest, even on their current point tally, it may get them over the line. They currently sit third in the Premier League on 68 points. And this will be potentially De Bruyne's final game ever for Manchester City. After he hit the crossbar from about 2 yards out, surely he wants to go out with a bit more of a flourish. Fulham, on the other hand, did come back late to beat Brentford and give themselves a chance of European football, if indeed it goes to that 8th position. But they are now 4 points behind Brighton and can't catch them. So Fulham are officially on the beach. You expect Man City to get this one over the line. I probably see it something like Fulham 1, Manchester City 2. Manchester City now playing with the least pressure of those teams involved in this top 5 race. And I think they will make it. I hope not. Molyneux will see the next game as Wolves take on Brentford. And there is a minuscule amount on this game. It would need a lot of results to go Brentford's way in the top 5 battle. They actually need a favour from Forest, because 8th position could still be a European position, depending on how Chelsea really do and how they do in the final against Betis. So Brentford are now sitting 3 points behind Brighton. Excuse me. They would need to win this game and then hope Brighton lose, and their superior goal difference would take them ahead of Brighton into 8th position. And then they've all got to be Chelsea and Forest fans over the course of the rest of the games. Do I see this working out? I don't know. Wolves are on the beach, but it is their final game at Molyneux of the season. They have turned this campaign around late on, having a good win streak earlier on, but currently on a loss streak, 3 in a row for the Wolves. I think this one ends up in a draw. I'm going to go Wolves 1, Brentford 1, and I don't see European football at the BTEC Stadium next season. But what do you guys think? The world-famous City Ground will see one of the most important games of the weekend as Forest take on Chelsea. This is 5th versus 7th, and both teams can still qualify for the Champions League, but both teams ideally will need to win. Forest definitely have to win. Chelsea are likely to need a win, but a draw, depending on other results, could get them over the line. Forest have finally picked up a win. They're undefeated in 3. And Chelsea, of course, have won their last game. In fact, they've won 4 out of their last 5 games, so found form at the right time. However, Chelsea have only won 1 in 10 games in their away games. since the start of 2025, not a good record. But Forest have only picked up 5 points at home. This surely can't end up in a draw. Someone is going to have to crack. Someone's going to have to go gun-ho at some point. Forest beat West Ham. They looked a lot better. But is it going to be enough? I'm going to do what I did last week. I predicted Forest to lose to West Ham and that worked out. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to say Forest 0, Chelsea 1. But I'm telling you, Forest still get top 5, even with the loss. Figure that one out if you can. Old Trafford sees the next game as Manchester United will take on Aston Villa, and there's a huge amount riding for one of these teams on this fixture, and that is, of course, Aston Villa. Aston Villa couldn't have dreamed of 2 better fixtures to end their season with, doing the job against Spurs mid-last week on Friday, and now they get to face one of the worst teams in the league in Manchester United, who still haven't broken the 40-point mark. But this will all depend on what happens tonight at the time of recording, as Spurs and Manchester United will clash it out in the Battle of El Crapico when they fight it out for the Europa League. I think if Manchester United lose this game, they will have to put on a performance on the final game of the season for their home fans. But if they win it, they're probably all drunk and happy and think we've salvaged something out of this season. Villa are looking very good. I think Villa look like one of the most informed teams right now in the league, and I fully expect them to get this game over the line. But Villa cannot afford to draw. They have to win this game. And they could draw if some other results go their way, but this is now out of Villa's hands because of Man City's win over Bournemouth. So Villa fans, you need to win this game and you need Forest to beat Chelsea to give you a solid chance to get in the top 5. I'm going to go Manchester United 1, Aston Villa 2. But I'll tell you what, Villa's record at Old Trafford in recent years has been horrific. Let's see what happens. St Mary's Stadium will see the final Premier League game for Southampton as Southampton take on Arsenal. And it is farewell to Southampton and well done for breaking Derby's record, or not breaking Derby's record, if you know what I mean. And it's likely that Will Still will be their new manager in the Championship, and I rate this manager very highly. So maybe, Saints fans, you have some silver linings to a very dark cloud that is this season. Arsenal, on the other hand, we need to congratulate them. They did the three-peat. They are second again for a 3rd year in a row. Ole, ole, ole. But Rice did bring a hell of a goal as they beat Newcastle last weekend to secure their spot in the Champions League next season. And I think they should win this one comfortably. I think it's going to be Southampton 0, Arsenal 3. Should be a comfortable win, but Saliba is potentially out, so maybe Saints fans, you do have a chance to go out in style. We'll see. St James's Park will see a massive game of the weekend as Newcastle United will take on Everton. Newcastle currently sit 4th in the table on 66 points after Man City's win. And they technically, for me, will need a win to secure their Champions League spot. It is in their hands, and I think they could and should be able to do it. But don't underestimate Everton. Yes, their defence is out with the likes of Branthwaite and Tarkowski missing, but Jake O'Brien is a giant and will probably move into that centre-back position where he's played a lot of this season under Moyes at right-back. This is a tough game. I don't think it's going to be as easy as Newcastle fans think. Everton did get their final win against Southampton at Goodison Park as they signed that off before they go to Dickinson Stadium next season, but I still think there's something about them that might pull out a result. I'm going to go Newcastle 1, Everton 1. If these results that I have said do go through, Newcastle will still make it to the Champions League. But I'll tell you what, this is going to be a tough game. But that atmosphere at St James's Park should be loud and should be enough to get them over the line. But what do you guys think? Anfield will see game number 8 of the weekend as Liverpool take on Crystal Palace. The battle of the birds, the battle of the silverware winners. Liverpool have been in horrific form though since they were declared champions of England. They've lost 2 and drawn 1. and literally are the definition of being on the beach. Crystal Palace, however, have lifted their first silverware in the history of their club, or should I say major silverware, so congratulations to them. And a team that probably you would have thought would have been on the beach went out and slapped Wolves the other night. So this could be a tight game, but this is a very relaxed game. I expect a party atmosphere at Anfield from both sets of fans. But I think Liverpool will want and need to show their fans that they still do care, potentially on for one of the lowest tallies to win the Premier League with, which does that say more about them or more about the league? Let me know in the comments down below. But I think Liverpool will get it over the line. I'm going to go Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 1. But this should be one hell of a party atmosphere. What's your prediction on this? Portman Road will see its final Premier League game for at least a year as Ipswich will take on West Ham. And this is a dead rubber. Maybe Ipswich will try and put on a show for their fans to say goodbye to the Premier League with. West Ham are absolute crap, I have to say. My team comfortably beat them last weekend. And surely questions need to be asked about just how good is Harry Potter doing at West Ham this season? And is he safe? Ipswich, on the other hand, are going to lose a few players. Delap looks like he's on his way to either Manchester United or Chelsea. So maybe he wants to go out with a bang. I think they owe their fans. I think their fans have been brilliant this season and they owe them 3 points. So I'm going to back Ipswich on this one. I'm going to go Ipswich 2, West Ham 0. I actually don't even think the West Ham fans care about this game. Their heads are so gone with how bad their season has been that they just want it over. Or am I wrong, West Ham fans? Let me know in the comments. The Tottenham Hotspur Stadium will see the final game of this season, even though technically it's at the same time, as Spurs will take on Brighton. And obviously all the things I said about Manchester United will also apply to Spurs. I'm hoping they win tonight. Maybe when you're watching this, you'll already know the result. But Spurs' season is solely solely and truly dependent on what happens in that Europa League. Will Ange stay? Will he go? Will he still be sacked anyway, even if Spurs win? Brighton, on the other hand, made a late comeback against Liverpool to put them in pole position if that 8th spot for European football does open up. They're going to need a point to guarantee it, but they should be fine. They should be fine for this. I think Spurs will put on a bit of a show. I think this is just going to be whatever football. I'm going to go Spurs 3, Brighton 2. I don't know how, I don't know why. I just think both teams will score a lot of goals, and this is going to be one of those end-of-season feel matches. And Spurs may end up ahead of United in the league and beating them in the Conference League. But then again, Man U do scumbag a lot of those trophies. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. And that's it, ladies and gents. That is your season complete. Week 38 in the bag. I hope your team produced whatever your expectations were of the season. My team certainly did. And hopefully, if you're fighting for one of those European Champions League spots, your team gets it if it's the same as mine. If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button and make sure you're subscribed as well if you're new to the Footy Network, and we'll see you on the next video. Good luck to you and your teams this weekend.